On the 2nd of February 2021, it was reported that William "Red" Stevens, a high-ranking general in the notorious 27's prison gang, was assassinated in front of his home in Kraaifontein, a northern suburb of Cape Town. 3 gunmen ambushed him, shooting him multiple times in broad daylight. The assassination sent shockwaves through Cape Town's underworld and triggered immediate retaliatory violence. That same night, intense shootouts erupted between rival gangs across Kraaifontein and nearby areas, with videos of the chaos circulating widely on social media. According to sources familiar with the secretive and deeply traditional world of the number gangs, the killings were seen as part of an obligatory blood feud. In their words, "Red Stevens' blood had to be picked up." Even the Western Cape's then Minister of Community Safety, Albert Fritz, was forced to intervene, appealing for calm in the community. The assassination of Stevens was not just another gangland murder. It marked a significant moment in the ongoing evolution of South Africa's criminal landscape, and revealed how individuals like Stevens could alter the rules of ancient gang traditions to build their own criminal empires. The 27s, along with the 26s and 28s, make up the infamous number gangs, organizations that originated more than a century ago in South Africa's prison system. These gangs are steeped in myth, strict codes, and military-like hierarchies. The 27s, known as the Man van Sonop, Men of Sunrise, have traditionally acted as the enforcers of the gang world's laws within prison, upholding order, meting out punishment, and negotiating better conditions for inmates. These military traditions and rituals were on full display at Stevens' funeral. Over 2,000 people attended, including senior members of both the 26s and 27s. Stevens' coffin was carried by 4 fellow 27s generals, and the funeral included symbolic gestures that replaced the usual 21-gun salute, which could not be performed due to heavy police and army presence. Gang members performed a ceremonial foot stamping and adopted the folded arm stance, a mourning gesture representing a broken arm. Stevens was given almost mythic reverence in death, with many within the 27s believing that he would now rest alongside Nongoloza, the legendary outlaw who founded the number gangs in the early 1900s. Despite the traditions that define the number gangs, Stevens had been a rule breaker within that rigid world. According to gang sources, he originally belonged to the 26s, but later switched allegiance to the 27s while in prison, violently earning his place by taking blood, stabbing others as a show of loyalty and strength. He eventually climbed to the highest rank of general, and upon his release, he didn't merely return to gang life in the conventional sense. Instead, Stevens transformed the role of the 27s on the streets. Historically, no street gangs were formally affiliated with the 27s, as they were considered above street-level operations. Their role was confined to prison enforcement. The 28s and 26s had long dominated the profitable street-level criminal markets, particularly in drug trafficking and protection rackets. But Red Stevens saw an opportunity. He leveraged the violent reputation and organizational strength of the 27s to create a street-based criminal enterprise that sold protection and assassination services to other gangs. He saw that the 27's prison code kept them away from making money on the streets. So he turned his crew into a standalone 27's operation that sold his assassins to the highest bidder. By reformulating the 27s as an enforcement-for-hire operation, Stevens began competing directly with long-established street gangs, turning his faction into a profitable enterprise. However, this innovation was not embraced by all 27's members. Many traditionalists within the gang saw his actions as corrupting the purity of the number system, blurring the sacred lines between prison tradition and street-level criminal commerce. His death, therefore, did not just leave a leadership void, but also ignited ideological and territorial disputes both inside and outside prison. Immediately after his assassination, retaliatory shootings broke out as gangs, particularly the 27s and their rivals, the 28s, clashed violently over turf and control of Stevens' former operations. There are multiple theories regarding the motive behind Stevens' assassination. each tied to the complex and often violent dynamics of Cape Town's organized crime world. At the time, South Africa's specialized organized crime unit, the Hawks, confirmed that they were investigating whether Stevens's murder was connected to a high-profile murder case, that of global steroid smuggler Brian Weinstein, who had been killed in his Constantia home on the 18th of August, 2017. 16 individuals were arrested in connection with Weinstein's murder. Among these suspects were members of the infamous 27's gang, well known for their involvement in organized crime, contract killings, and drug trafficking. Most notable among the arrested were three major underworld figures: William Red Stevens himself, the late controversial businessman and alleged underworld kingpin Mark Liffman, and Jerome Donkey Boyson, who was widely regarded as the leader of the Sexy Boys gang. Their arrests in December 2020 made headlines, signifying a rare crackdown on Cape Town's underworld elite. However, all three were released later that month on 100,000 rand bail each. The underworld remained volatile following their release. Just days after being granted bail, Boyson survived yet another assassination attempt, one of more than 9 attempts on his life, highlighting the ongoing power struggles within the criminal landscape. Then, in early February 2021, Stevens was gunned down in what many believe was a calculated hit. Boyson's criminal troubles continued when, on the 18th of February 2021, he was arrested again, along with 5 other individuals in a massive operation led by the Hawks. This time, the charges involved large-scale drug trafficking and dealing, with Boyson facing a staggering 96 charges. His notoriety in South African media stemmed not only from these criminal allegations, but also from his repeated survival of assassination attempts, most famously a dramatic airport shooting, which was believed to be retaliation for an earlier nightclub-related killing. The murder of Brian Weinstein was not an isolated crime, but part of a broader organized crime prosecution. The charges against Liffman, Boyson, and Stevens detailed operations spanning across Cape Town, pointing to a deeply entrenched and violent criminal network that had flourished for years. According to investigative reports, at the heart of these conflicts was a bitter battle for dominance over Cape Town's lucrative nightclub security and extortion markets. Adding another layer of intrigue, Liffman and Stevens, alongside a third suspect, Nord, were themselves accused of conspiring to assassinate Modak and his associates in November 2017. These allegations exposed the dangerous cycle of revenge and double-crossing that defined Cape Town's underworld. There are several theories surrounding the motive for Stevens's assassination. According to one theory, members of the 27's gang, Fabian Cupido, who had allegedly carried out the Weinstein hit, turned state witnesses and implicated both Liffman and Boyson as the ones who ordered the murder. Another possibility was that tensions and disputes over money between Liffman, Boyson, and Stevens escalated beyond repair, ultimately leading to Stevens's assassination. Further complicating matters were reports that the hit on Stevens may have been orchestrated by the rival 28's gang as part of ongoing hostilities, with the 27's shootouts following Stevens's murder were reportedly clashes between the 27's and 28HS, indicating that his death had triggered violent retaliation and further destabilized the already fractious gang landscape in the Cape. There was also an internal gang politics theory. Stevens, as a leader within the 27's, was said to have been opposed to a move allowing the 26's, traditionally a prison gang, to operate openly as a street gang. This move would have violated long-standing numbers gang codes, or the so-called Old Scripture, that governed relations between the 26, 27, and 28 gangs. Stevens's opposition reportedly angered ambitious 26's members, who stood to gain significant power and wealth if they could expand into street-level operations. All these theories point to one undeniable truth. Stevens's assassination was not a random act of violence, but rather the result of deeply entrenched power struggles, betrayal, and complex rivalries within Cape Town's organized crime network. His murder not only removed a major player, but also escalated tensions among multiple criminal factions, leaving a trail of violence and uncertainty in its wake. On June 2024, It was reported that 3 alleged hitmen, said to be linked to the notorious Firm Gang and allegedly hired by 28's gang boss Ralph Stanfield, have been arrested and charged in connection with the assassination of 27's gang boss William "Red" Stevens. According to detailed court documents, the 3 suspects, Jonathan Clowett, Abraham Wilson, and Shaquille Pelston, they appeared alongside Stanfield in the Cape Town Magistrates Court. They faced charges of murder, attempted murder, dealing in drugs, and multiple firearm-related offenses. The state alleges that on February 2, 2021, Clowett fired the fatal shots that killed Stevens. The 27's boss was gunned down in cold blood outside his home in Rembrandt Street, Scottsville, after being shot 9 times. The attackers reportedly fled the scene in a blue Hyundai, but the trio's violent trail didn't stop there. Court documents also link Clowett, Wilson, and Pelston to 2 assassination attempts on Donkey Boyson's son, Joel Boyson. One of these attempts occurred in May 2020, when Joel was shot in Greenpoint. Footage of the aftermath, showing him wounded and surrounded by concerned bystanders at Cape Quarter Shopping Center, quickly spread across social media. Donkey Boyson confirmed that there had been an earlier attempt on Joel's life just 2 months before the Greenpoint shooting. He believed the motives were rooted in jealousy and power struggles within the criminal underworld. The National Prosecuting Authority's spokesperson, Eric Ntabazalila, confirmed that the 3 accused face charges related to 3 murders, 4 attempted murders, drug dealing, and multiple counts of firearm possession. As this case continues to unfold, it highlights the dangerous and ongoing turf wars between Cape Town's powerful gangs, a violent underworld where betrayal, power plays, and revenge remain part of daily life. On January 2024, it was reported that a secret audio recording involving Jawaria Caldine, the Patriotic Alliance regional treasurer, and a City of Johannesburg councillor. In the recording, Caldine alleged that Chanel Stevens, the PA's Secretary General and daughter of the late notorious Cape Town gangster and convicted drug dealer William "Red" Stevens, had taken over her late father's criminal enterprises and was using the proceeds to fund the party. The recording also revealed that PA leader Gayton McKenzie had involved himself in the legal troubles of Johannesburg gangster Jermaine Prim, who was facing fraud charges related to running a Mercedes-Benz theft syndicate from prison. McKenzie publicly admitted to having a role in Prim's transfer from a medium security to a maximum security prison. According to Prim, this move was part of gang wars in which McKenzie himself was allegedly entangled. The audio was a phone conversation between Caldine and a well-known community leader from Eldorado Park, Soweto. The Eldorado Park leader expressed concern over Prim's dispute with McKenzie and alleged that other local gangsters were also owed money by the Gayton. Jermaine Prim himself revealed that his family had financially supported the PA during its launch in Eldorado Park and Rivoli, but that Gayton McKenzie had not repaid the debt. Prim further claimed that Caldine had confirmed that drug money from Chanel Stevens' inherited operations was being used to bankroll the party. In the recording, Caldine states that McKenzie was fully aware of this illicit funding source. McKenzie, speaking on behalf of both the PA and Caldine, acknowledged the existence of the recording, but dismissed it as doctored. He insisted that both he and Deputy President Kenny Coonan were successful businessmen who had sustained the party since its founding in 2013 without using proceeds from crime. He defended Chanel Stevens, stating that although they both had gang affiliations in the past, she had distanced herself from that world, becoming a teacher and board chairperson before assuming her current role as Secretary General of the PA. However, in the recording, Caldine also revealed that Chanel Stevens had personally taken her to meet drug runners in Cape Town to collect funds for the party.